to visit the weirdest storyline that has ever happened in the history of professional wrestling. And I can say that because I'm right. One of my all-time favorite Japanese wrestlers, the Great Muta. When he was retiring, I got this. And then, not even a week later, he did this.
But maybe he's queer. He's maybe.
Note to self, only get tattoos of people who are actually dead. Keiji Muto played the Great Muta, the supernatural son of the Great Kabuki. Kabuki! He was a mysterious, otherworldly figure with special glands in his throat that would spray out different color mists. The mists had different effects. Listen, just go with me. The green mist caused temporary blindness. The red mist caused burning, itching.
Clinically proven Tenactin cures even tough cases of athlete's foot.
The black mist was strictly reserved for Newman from Seinfeld. The blue mist was essentially sleepy time tea, but would sometimes cause an erection to last for more than 4 hours. The purple mist was only used by Mace Windu, and the yellow mist had a paralytic effect.
Urine. It was urine.
Someone did make a The Great Muta origin movie, and it looks like they spent a lot of money and time on it, but it is an 18-minute long fever dream that I will summarize for you in seconds. Interior, night. A smoky cave where someone's been blowing sick clouds, bro. The Great Muta is born from an egg, notably already wearing athletic tape and as a fully formed man. He immediately looks for the Power Rangers. Muta wanders the cave and his face paint changes a few times. Worth noting that the Christmas variant is really more like the all-right Muta. He looks at the camera a bunch and then here's a monster. It's a demon standing in front of truck headlights. Naturally, their fight starts as every monster fight does, with a collar and elbow tie-up. The demon strangles him and walks away all sassy. But the full moon brings Muta back to life, and he's a werewolf demon Hausen. Muta finds the swamp demon and fights him in the strobe light aisle at Spencer's Gifts. Claw punch. He then presumably marries the corpse. So now, if anyone ever says, "What's the Muta?" you can say, "Nothing. What's the Muta with you?" Yoshihiro Tajiri and Yinling, the exotic terrorist, and I promise I'm not making any of this up, are competing in a tag match against, and wait, I gotta explain this to you as well, because also, again, this is real. Two guys who in real life met in college. They were a comedy duo called Razor Ramon. Yes, that one. Not that one. But their names were, and listen, I didn't write it, I'm just reporting it to you, Hard Gay and Real Gay. Also, just HG and RG, which is what we'll be calling them for the rest of the episode. Essentially, Lady Yinling found a magic lamp while vacationing in this mid-90s Microsoft wallpaper. Yinling, rubs the lamp and keeps repeating, "Come on, genie, wake up. Come on, genie, wake up." Until the lamp finishes and Abdullah the Butcher appears. Abdullah then tells us when he left the lamp, he filled it up with a demonic presence that people trust. Kind of like your ex-wife, right, guys, fellas? At a press conference, the lights go out and the lamp gets stolen. RG has stolen the lamp and is apparently freshly returned from Sandals, Jamaica.
Feeling
RG vigorously rubs the lamp, hoping to summon the Great Muta, but is unsuccessful, and I swear to God this never happens. So, the match, because oh yeah, this is wrestling. But RG doesn't have a tag partner, so he tries to rub the lamp again. He rubs and rubs and rubs, and I don't know what's wrong with it. Maybe I'm just tired. I've been really stressed at work.
Just so you know, it's not that common. It doesn't happen to every guy, and it is a big deal.
But he gets frustrated and slams the lamp into the ramp. say the Great Muta. Feel free to just use the door like everybody else. The Great Demon himself unavoidably faces off against the very formidable Yinling, who I will note is wearing like 4-inch stiletto heels in a wrestling ring. The Queen. Yinling is apparently allowed to use her whip, so the Great Muta decides to even the odds with a wrist lock. The Great Muta gets dominated and in a final act of desperation performs the most alarming intentional act in professional wrestling history. Understandably shocked and upset, Yinling just passes out. And Muta wins? That got pretty weird, but we can probably just move on and go back to normal, right? Nope! Yinling is pregnant, Poppy! That's right. The Great Muta poison misted her downstairs, and a week later, she's like 6 months pregnant. Understand the implications of this. Beyond the obvious, the Great Muta's poison mist contains reproductive material, which means every time the Great Muta was spraying his mist onto a dude's face,
What are you doing up?
Oh my God! I'm sorry! I can't stop!
poison misting.
Sorry! Oh, it feels so good!
The next week, M. Bison is delivering an address to the crowd, and then an off-camera Yinling lays an Easter egg. And then to hatch it, she drops it like an Alka-Seltzer tab into this big fancy bowl that they got for their wedding that they're probably never going to use otherwise. But ridiculousness aside, the prop department's killing it. So what hatches? A little painted demon boy? A little lizard face man? No, because those ideas all circle the drain of making a little too much sense. What hatches is a giant The Great Muta. Of course, while being born in a XXL custom The Great Muta outfit, he was not born with shoes, notably. His name is Monster Bono.
And I have a very big pro bono.
It's a retired sumo wrestler with a binky. Oh, they grow up so fast. One day they're just an egg on the prop department shop table, and the next day, why are we making a video about this? But the Great Daddy Muta has shuffled off to the demon realm to buy some cigarettes for like several months. And then on Christmas, Tajiri mocks Monster Bono for having an absentee father. Bono cries and then asks Yinling if Muta's absence is somehow his fault. Monster Bono, as someone who has spent several years and thousands of dollars in therapy, your absentee father is not your fault. It's just that your father's presence does cost the promotion a lot of money. Tajiri laughs, Monster Bono cries, and Yinling proclaims they will attempt to summon the Great Muta on New Year's Eve. Will the Great Muta show up, or will the Great Muta ignore his son, be emotionally unavailable, and show very little interest in his son's thoughts and feelings? And can't relate! Muta doesn't show up. It's 3 versus 2. Things look dire for Monster Bono and Mommy Yinling. And I don't know. I'm like getting too into this. Then RG takes out his ass. Then he puts his ass in Bono's face. But then the Great Muta pirate variant shows up. What the fuck? Bono finally gets his father's attention, love, and affection. Lucky. The Great Mutas make short work of their opponents and then pose for a family photo. And this is a beautiful ending to a wild story, is what I would like to say, but this is wrestling. Muta starts to walk back to the demon world. Bono pleads with him to stay, and actual violin music starts playing in the arena. But Muta makes like a tree and falls back to hell. And thus a sad ending to an otherwise happy story. But there's even more! In utter despair, Monster Bono tells his mother Yinling that he wishes he was never born.
I didn't ask for this.
He then rebels against General Takada and calls him a sussy baka.
Who's that, Papa?
And he quits the monster army. Yinling then vows revenge against her very son. So of course, we gotta have a match. Worth noting that all of this subsequent family turmoil is because one guy was a deadbeat father who didn't stick around and see his family through. It's like there's almost probably a lesson there. The match actually goes back and forth, but Monster Bono's size is just too much and eventually begins to prevail. All but defeated, Yinling accepts her fate. And she dies. Except she's not dead. She speaks to Bono telepathically over the PA system. Roughly translated, she says, "Come on, Bono, show me you can surpass me. Now is the time to hustle." We then see a tasteful splash, and Yinling is pinned and is dying. In further voiceover, Bono says, "Mom, stay strong. Mom, please open your eyes." Yinling says, "I'm sorry for all the pain you've been through until now, but please try to understand." "I understand, Mom. I'm sorry for all the terrible things I said. This time, I promise to be a good kid. You're already such a wonderful child. You're my you're my precious treasure. I'll always be watching over you." Mom, thank you for bringing me into this world. Bono then cries out in pain and carries his mother's lifeless body out of the arena. And that was the greatest storyline of all time.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.